Welcome, people, to the match report, hosted, of course, by us at Free in Midfield. I'm your host, Cahill. Of course, Kojo is one of your main hosts, but he's not here right now. He's stuck on a train because that's how London operates right now, apparently. News to me. I thought trains were running well, but it is what it is. Darren joins us, of course. That's it. Yeah, just hands up. Yeah.
I'm a bit rusty. It's been a while, so.
It was last week, bro. You got to have something in line.
Last week was the first time in literally years. So
it was. I forgive you. Next week you need to be on it. Sam from Feed the Goat Jones. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. I mean, we got the draw, so it could be better, but it is what it is, man. At least we got a point, and it was a kind of difficulty, but it is. Hey, bro, shut up with it. Manchester City fan, of course, so that is where we shall start the big game. Of course, Liverpool 2, Manchester City 2 goals from Sadio Mane, Phil Foden, Mohamed Salah, and Kevin De Bruyne. I'll start
all
with
the big names.
Very big names. Some of the best players and best up and coming players in the Premier League itself. We'll start with you, Sam. What's your initial feelings on the game? Are you happy with the point?
I think if 9 days ago you would have told me that we'd get 4 points from this Chelsea game, Liverpool away, sandwiched with PSG in the middle as well, I probably would have taken it. And I think performances actually in all three games kind of exceeded what I was perhaps expecting, especially yesterday, because I think after that first half we should have put away at least one of those chances, and we had a few more second half as well. So really, despite our horrific record at Anfield, only seen us win there twice in sort of since I've been supporting City. So and I'm 27 now, so that gives you an idea of our record at Anfield. So usually I'd say 2-2, great game, but actually I felt we could have won it. So it was tinged with disappointment, actually.
Exactly. That's the thing. You guys were kind of in control, especially considering it was at Anfield as well. You had a lot of chances. You just didn't have your shooting boots on. But the team that obviously had their shooting boots on were Liverpool. They goals from Salah and Mane, of course. That's their main two threats. So, Darren, is this something for Liverpool to be disappointed at? Once again, these are two big games that they've had. I've not mentioned Chelsea. They had the Chelsea game, which they drew. Chelsea were down to 10 men, of course, in that game. Now Man City came and they got the draw as well. And in both games, you could easily argue that they weren't in control of them. Is it something to worry about, even though they are still very much up there?
So I wouldn't worry if I was a Liverpool fan. If anything, I'd be quite happy with my lot, especially if you consider that they didn't really get started in the game. Really they had a good 5 minutes at the start, and then made a quick tactical change, and basically the rest of the half was all City. And to leave at half time and not be miles behind, they've got to be happy with that, especially as Milner at points was kind of having his Gary Neville versus West Brom game, where you're like, oh no, I think
I like that. That's a good comparison.
Yeah. So I'm also like, with players that Liverpool have, Salah and Mane, they can change the game in a second. And also you've got to take into account no Trent, who's very important for them going forward, no Thiago, which stopped them from really controlling the game in the middle, even though the game was mostly played in the half spaces. But yeah, I think Liverpool can be relatively happy. A point at a title rival is a good result.
Even if it is at home?
Yeah, of course it is. It's 38 games in this season, and to be honest, I look at Liverpool as a team that is more likely to grind out results and win the league ugly than City are. And also when I look at Liverpool as well, again, they had 2 very important players not playing. And also, it's just, when you're having to play players like Milner, no disrespect to Milner, fantastic professional, but you're playing him at right back, you're losing one of your biggest weapons. And they still went toe-to-toe with Liverpool, with City, And after the tactical change, very nearly won it because remember, they were in the lead twice in the game. So I think anything other than, I say it's begrudgingly being a United fan, anything other than like honest props is a little bit disingenuous for Liverpool, in my opinion.
I mean, on the Milner incident, of course, that would have, I imagine, would have changed the game drastically and swung it into Manchester City's favour. Why do you think the referee just decided not to give Milner the red card, Sam?
Do you know what? I was literally just watching a bit of it on Match Today now, and they're all baffled on there. I was completely baffled. The only thing that I could think of is that the ref thought that with Henderson making the first sort of initial challenge and knocking him off balance was what he was given the foul for. But Bernardo Silva was still travelling with the ball, and Milner obviously cynically just stuck a leg out on a yellow. I was quite surprised. Someone that experience, Milner obviously played for City as well. He's ultra professional, knows the game inside out, so much nous. And to do that on a yellow card when he maybe even could have got a yellow card in the first half for that challenge when he brought Foden down going through. So to try it again and get away with it, I think Pep Fair Play came out after and probably called it right. City, if that's a City player at Old Trafford at Anfield, they're gone. They're off like straight away. They're gone. There's no way they're staying on the pitch. So I think it was just a bizarre decision. How much it would have changed the game, whether Liverpool could have still got a point because it was 1-1 at that point still and hung on, I don't know. But it would have been, I don't think they would have been able to take the lead with 10 men, not very easily anyway.
I don't think Liverpool get a point if Miller gets sent off, which I think we all agree he should have been, because of where the game was played in terms of where the attacking action was at and how well certain players were playing. Foden was a pain the entire game for Liverpool. Now you put him in a position where you're sticking Joe Gomez on to cover right hand side and leaving a little more space in the middle. And then Bernardo becomes even more of a pain than he was before. Maybe Grealish has a little bit more time in the middle of the pitch, didn't have a great game. So with the options that City had, I feel like if Miller was to get sent off, I think you're looking at maybe 2-3-1, honestly. Because the way that City play is suffocating. And they see a weakness and they attack the weakness. They attack so much more down the right hand side than I think they usually do, with Trent being out. I also think that's why Foden played out wide and Grealish played in the middle. I think because Foden's a little bit more dynamic, a lot quicker,
direct.
Exactly. Than Grealish is. And it could go on the outside and on the inside, whereas Grealish is going to get the ball and try to get in towards the middle of the pitch. Where Liverpool, in terms of defence, is by far the strongest. I think that red card would have changed the game completely.
Yeah, we are probably the hardest team to play against with 10 men. Like you say, just the positional awareness, how we're set up. We create overloads anyway when it's 11 versus 11. So 10 versus 10, it would have been a very, very difficult job for Liverpool. And we saw it a few years ago when I think Mane got sent off after about half an hour and we went on and beat them 5-0. So it could have played a big difference.
Funny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you see, it's hard for me to kind of think that this is 2 points drop than 1 point gain for Manchester City, considering that, like Darren said, Trent Alexander-Arnold was missing. Van Dijk he was getting torn to pieces in some occasions, so he wasn't on his best day either. So defensively, they weren't really up to 100%. Is it a case? Could a case be argued that you missing or not getting that striker would have shifted the game today or yesterday? That striker would have shifted the game.
Potentially, yeah. This is the discussion point around all City fans, all people analysing City, and it probably will be for the whole season if we don't bring anybody in, because there's an interesting balance at play where some of the chances that we're getting in and around the box, maybe a striker might finish one or two of them. No striker is going to finish every single chance that we create, which is impossible. And some of the chances, like the one that Foden got out wide, probably don't fall to a striker. They fall to a winger anyway. Like Harry Kane's not going to be in that left wing position overlapping around James Milner. So
Harry Kane has the license to be everywhere at Tottenham, so he might have done.
Harry Kane couldn't overlap a donkey at the moment, really, could he? The way he's moving, he needs to get his fitness back up. He's a little bit. That's not his game. But what he could be is it could be getting across the front post. We play a lot of balls across the box, in and around the box, and he probably would position himself in and around there. But at the same time, in these games against Chelsea and Liverpool, what has been so good, especially in the first half yesterday, is City's ability to press and counter press. And you look at some of the other top teams who are playing with a number 9 like right now, Ronaldo for United, Lukaku for Chelsea, and Kane for Spurs. They can't press in the same way. So maybe actually City's overall dominance of the game is also a little bit affected by not actually having a striker and just having literally like 5 or 6 creative ballers really in the middle of the pitch who just keep the ball for fun. So there's a little bit of kind of balance to be found with it. But he found it with Aguero. We saw some of our best football when we had Aguero. We had a killer in the box, and I think there will be a lot of games this season where people will be looking back and thinking, maybe they could have done with a number 9 in that situation. But we're also going to most likely win a lot of games moving forward as well. So it kind of really does depend on each individual game and who takes the chances and who's arriving in the box, because the players who are getting the chances are good enough. Like we saw Foden finish a chance, saw De Bruyne finish a chance. These players really are good enough to be scoring goals. It's just whether there'll be too many games where it's like we could have done with a Harry Kane, a real striker who makes striker type runs and is a bit more clinical, like we saw with Salah yesterday.
Well, I mentioned Salah. Darren, you were. I'm going to ask you one question, which might be a bit controversial, but is Mane still better than Salah in your opinion?
Oh, you went deep into the archives for that one, didn't it? No, for me, Salah is probably the best player in the world on form at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
He will go down as not only an Anfield great, but as a Premier League great. For me, Mo Salah is actually underrated, considering that I think if we're all honest, we thought the trajectory would start going down now, but it hasn't.
Really, not for me. I don't. I disagree with that. I always thought that he was Liverpool's best player, and because his output is so strong, and the way they play, the way they fit, everything is facilitated through Salah. So I don't think the stats would drop.
I was saying that because of the amount of intensity that Klopp sort of demands on players.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Also, very rarely injured. Just got international commitments, and when you take into all of that, to the fact he constantly shows up, so you think that naturally there'll be like a little bit of a drop-off point. Like I would argue that's kind of happening with Mane at the moment, despite the goal. I think he's not the same Mane as he was a couple of years ago.
He's got like five goals in 5 games. So
yeah. I'd even still say that the Mane is not quite the same. But Salah is just like the goal he scored. Like, we'll
unbelievable.
Ignore the fact that his weight of pass for Mane's goal was perfect. Ignoring that, like, I've never known a player to be so direct and dangerous for Liverpool on that side of the pitch. I think when in years later, when they have their debates in Croxteth and Liverpool, in the pub, which is I think called Klopp's now, but will probably be renamed in whatever manager Liverpool have at the time, they'll be saying Salah is definitely in greatest Liverpool team ever at right wing, and it's undisputed.
Yeah.
When you take into account Liverpool are one of the most successful teams in the world, to be undisputedly in that position, nobody can touch you, shows you how amazing Mo Salah is.
Let's
For
get
me-
more controversial. Sam, Salah or Gerrard as in most important, the biggest legacy at Liverpool right now?
I don't think it's fair that he
Salah or
answers that
Gerrard?
question.
Salah.
Jojo says
That's a
Salah.
hell of a question, isn't it?
It's a big question.
I mean, Salah did bring home a Premier League and a Champions League, and Gerrard brought home a Champions League and slipped and lost the Premier League. So, yeah,
I thought you were going to say FA Cups, but fair enough.
No, there's a lot to wait. I feel like Salah's playing in probably a better Liverpool team than Gerrard ever really played in. But what you were saying a minute ago, I was actually, in terms of if Darren said that Mane was better than Salah a couple of years ago, I would 100% agree. I was fully in the Mane over Salah camp, just overall game, the way that Mane plays, the pressing, the intensities, dribbling, everything. But I feel like over the last few years, Salah has kind of gone up another level, and I think it's showing again this season. His all-round game is so much more better. He's been a bit of a poacher and a bit of a kind of playing in moments. He still does that to an extent, but if you actually watch the first goal yesterday, Salah actually comes deep, gets the ball from Alisson, lays it off, then gets the ball again, then goes past Cancelo, and then feeds in Mane. Like, his all-round game and his creativity has gone at another level, and he's just a obscene goal scorer. The goal yesterday was one of the best goals I've ever seen against City. I think one of the best individual goals. It was just unbelievable. Like the way he wriggled out of 3 players around the box, then went past Laporte, hit it far post from the angle on his weak foot. I mean, it was just like, it was absolutely crazy when you think about it. So, yeah, he's really putting himself up there now with some of the great people are starting to wake up and notice, because he has been underrated. But the longer this goes on now, the more he's going to kind of cement his place. And there's a lot of like Hazard versus Salah debates still going on for loads of different reasons in terms of just style of play and who's better to watch, who's better, who would you rather have. So, yeah. All kinds of he's asking all kinds of questions of some of the best players we've ever seen in the league.
You gonna say something, Darren?
No, I think that sums up pretty perfectly, to be honest. Michael looks like he's about to be ready, so yeah.
Okay. Finally back. But just one more question on Manchester City, Sam. There's 3 teams. I think there's 3 teams definitely in this title race: Chelsea, Liverpool, and City. Maybe not Manchester United. Maybe just not Manchester United.
It's not Man United, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
We'll come to them.
Last season, you guys kind of slipped under the radar, and then eventually crawled your way back to the top of the title picture, and then won it quite comfortably, in my opinion. This year seems going to be a bit different. Do you still believe that you are front runners for this league title?
I think we are, and I think it's purely down to depth. To be honest, I think Chelsea have got unbelievable depth, but I think they're actually quite inexperienced as a squad, and I think the inconsistencies in performance are starting to show. I did think it would be between City and Chelsea, kind of for first and second, but Liverpool have shown me again that they're prepared to go to the well, and Klopp's going to get 30, 35, maybe even 38 games out of the players that he needs to this season. Your Salahs, your Manes, your Van Dijks, etc. So I think it's going to be between us and Liverpool again. I think it's going to be kind of default back to a couple of years ago when it was them two. I think Chelsea will be tucked in behind, but I just think our depth is going to get us over the line. I think Liverpool, they couldn't perform yesterday because they missed Trent, and James Milner comes in. There's quite a lot of players that you could see City trying to crowbar into our team still. Gundogan was injured. Zinchenko was injured. 2 of our best players from last season. Didn't miss them at all. Sterling can't get in the team. Mahrez didn't even get off the bench. So there's all these players to kind of come into it. And I think when we get into those winter months, and maybe even that African Cup of Nations as well, when Salah and Mane have to jet off for a few games, these are fine margins which could make the difference over the season. So, yeah, and I still think we've got the best manager in the league to manage all that and bring it all together. So,
what's your thoughts on the Sterling situation? He seemed to have died down when after his performance at the Euros, but then he's back in. It seems like he's been frozen out for a bit.
It's a very weird one with Sterling, actually. Touch upon it just quickly because he's got less than 2 years on his contract now. You see a lot of players winding down contracts, and I think that's become a bit of an issue, or could become an issue, similar to how it was with Sané, who wound down his contract a little bit. He got to about a year, playing time dropped off, and he ended up getting sold. I don't think he plays well without a focal point. I think it shows for England that having someone like Harry Kane to play off is exactly what he needs, so he can arrive in the box and maybe have markers take players away from him. But for whatever reason, we're just not getting the best out of him. It is a bit of a concern. It's been, we keep saying Sterling's forms, it's a drop off, he's going to return, but really this has probably been going on about 2 years now since we've seen the best of Raheem Sterling. And yeah, it is a bit of a worry actually, because if he's not getting the game time, he's not probably going to sign new contracts. If he doesn't sign new contracts, he's even less in contention. So it's kind of a bit of a catch-22 for him. And at the moment, it's difficult to see him turn it around, which is really annoying, because I really like Raheem Sterling. I've kind of backed Sterling for a long time. He's not the most orthodox player. He's got strange technique, but he delivers in a lot of ways. He ticks a lot of boxes in those attacking areas, but definitely more so for England than City.
You're itching to get your point in there.
Yeah, I've read something, and I've got a friend, because I live in that side of the world. So I've got a friend who is knows people at City. That sounds very trust me, bro, sources sort of thing. But I also read
ITK Darren.
Yeah, there was there. I also read in The Athletic that Pep and Sterling's relationship has gone a bit sour. Because for me, you look at Sterling for England, and I think it's not a case of anything outside of trust. I think Southgate would put his life on Sterling, and Sterling will pull through for him. And I think Sterling needs that. You could argue you saw that a little bit at the tail end of his time at Liverpool. And he used to be, I think the statistics still show, and this is how much Pep paid him, that he's still Pep's most picked player, like started player from Pep's reign. And he's been in out of the team for the last year and a half. So there was a point where Sterling was definitely the first name on the team sheet for Manchester City. And I think something sour has gone on. And I think now it's interesting because it almost feels like it's a bit of a Mexican standoff between him and Pep, because they're both due to leave in 2 years, and so we'll see who blinks first.
Yeah, you're right. And what I think you're absolutely bang on about Sterling wants to be the main man.
Oh,
Sam?
Yeah, he's gone. Just frozen for a bit. Hopefully he'll come back, and we'll definitely let him back. Kojo.
Hi.
Good train, good journey.
No, not fun a journey at all. But
not fun. But you're here. And what a time you've joined us. We're about to talk about Manchester United.
No. Stick with the good game first. What are you doing?
Don't
go to the silliness when I arrive.
No. We go all the way
back. About Salah a little bit first. And then
we talked about Salah. You were on the train, bro. Is it our fault that you went here?
Brother, I was walking. My face was clear as not clear as day. I was bare dark, but my face was there. I wanted to talk about Salah, but you man were waxing lyrical about Salah. You put up Darren on the Mane versus Salah thing. Thank you very much for that one. So we've arrived, bro. We've arrived.
He's back, by the way. Also, stop bringing
him back.
I'm back. Quick connection error.
By the way. Oh, sorry.
What I was saying about Sterling, wasn't I? They've fallen out with Pep at the end of last season. And I do think I completely agree with Darren. He likes to be the main man, I think that's going to be quite apparent. I could actually see him moving to somebody, because there's such a demand at the moment for English players in this country because of the potential new English quotas coming in a couple of years. And I could actually see him going to someone like an Arsenal, where they're like, right, we will make you one of the biggest paid players of the club. We will build around you. This is your team. Moving back to London. Here we go. And you can go, because he worked with Arteta as well. So if Arteta's still around in 12 months' time, and maybe Arsenal have shifted Aubameyang off the wage bill, and there's a big gap there for a premium sort of attacker, and I could see him going to somewhere like that and kind of being the main man again and finding that form and perhaps he needs that, which is a shame because I'd love him to stay at City.
Yeah,
That
and he's
absolutely. Sorry, Michael. After you.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I was just gonna say he's so productive, regardless of when he's played at City. He's always produced numbers, and his movement. There's not many better in the English game in terms of English players that have better movement than Raheem Sterling, that find the pocket in the box and just find his way to get goals. So he would be a huge asset to wherever he goes, and arguably would make most teams better in this league.
I think
£10 million. That's the offer. You accepting it?
10 million. Well, you paid 75 for Pepe, so we can start there.
it's fair.
It's in installments, to be honest. So we'll give you one installment of was it 25 mil? There we go.
Yeah, that's fine. We're in no rush. We don't need any cash immediately up front.
Exactly. But
Don't
anyway,
need cash. Full stop.
Full stop, bro. Isn't it?
Don't need any cash. Full stop.
Right there.
Yeah, full stop.
Manchester United. We're sticking with Manchester. We're going all the way back to Saturday. Manchester United won. Everton won. Goals from Tony Martial, or as Michael likes to call him,
Jumapel Jeffers.
Jumapel Jeffers back on the goal scoring sheet.
Don't think Jeffers could play left wing, to be fair.
Yeah, he's probably good. You get more goals than Anthony Martial, that's for certain. Anyway, and the king of the fake Sue, Andros Townsend. Boy.
Can I take this one, Michael, for a bit?
Take it away.
Go, because I'm tired. Go.
So I'm gonna do a quick comparison. So the City Liverpool game and the United Everton game showed me one thing: the importance of having a coach that is tactically on the ball. So you're looking at
it's the slow delivery. This guy's been thinking about it. It's methodical. He's got a point up. He's got bullet points. He's really on his laptop right now.
It's really hurt me because it's so clear to see. So you look at the first 5 minutes, Liverpool started really well because of getting space out wide. Okay, so what Pep did then was he basically turned City into a 4-4-2 flat when they were defending. That basically got them to control the game up until half time, where Klopp made some changes, and then they put themselves in the front foot. It's that dynamism where not only are the players playing chess, but the managers are too. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer plays 4-2-3-1, and hopes for the best. So there are a few grumbles of discontent regarding Solskjaer, and one of them, and I think the most serious one, is his insistence on the McFred double pivot. And he said, and I'm going to slightly paraphrase, but he said, they're important to break up play. Meanwhile, Everton, without Richarlison, without the McCover-Lewin, are running through the middle of the pitch like Moses parting the Red Sea. There is one clip for Demarai Gray's chance where he picks up the ball, turns to McTominay, and runs literally in between Fred and McTominay like a knife through butter, and gets a shot off. And throughout the game, I've seen some United fan channels, pundits, etc., say that all Everton did was sit back on the low block. But no, they sat and waited for the counter. Because United's team is so easy to counter punch against because of the way that they're set up. Because neither of the double pivot are necessarily great at positionally defending, nor do they actually stay deep, nor do they actually chauffeur the ball in the middle. So if you press them, and you've seen this countless times with Fred, if you press them, you can win the ball up really high up the pitch. And also, McTominay, and he gets away with this a lot, never shows for the ball. And the reason why Maguire is so important, not only as a defender, because he takes it upon himself to break the first line of the press because he runs through. And who's tackling Maguire? He's massive, right? When you've got a midfielder like McTominay who does not show for the ball, and you're playing a team who is sitting deeper and countering, you need to be able to build through the thirds. United don't have a double pivot that allowed them to do that. And this takes us to the second bone of contention, Donny van de Beek. So you've got a player who has literally said he can play 6, 8, and 10. We have a double pivot where they basically rotate. One of them is a 6, one of them is an 8, depending on where they're on the pitch. Donny van de Beek is a lot more brave on the ball. He shows for the ball constantly. He finds a man, which both players struggle with, especially when they're trying to break lines. They always lose the ball. And yet he can't get a game, despite playing well when he last played, because the manager has his favourites, and it's clear as day. As well as this, thirdly, why has he rotated his team so massively on the brink of an international break? Like, this was not an opportunity to get some points to the board, knowing that City and Liverpool play against each other.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense. I can understand maybe giving Sancho more minutes than he did. I can understand maybe Cavani coming off the bench if Ronaldo was quiet. But none of those things happened. Ronaldo scored 5 goals and found himself on the bench, which makes no sense. And Greenwood, despite the fact he's a fantastic player and will be a monster, the issue here is that when the composition of the attack is not right. So if we fast forward to when the changes were made, and Ronaldo was on the pitch and Pogba was on the pitch, you can't have a player like Greenwood on one side and a player like Pogba on the other side and really play to Ronaldo's strengths. Because the ball is only going to come in from one side with Pogba. Pogba's not going to do the traditional winger, go down the line and cross it in. And we all know how good Ronaldo's aerial ability is. What he's going to do is create chances in that area that, what De Bruyne does. He picks up the ball, whips the ball in. That's kind of like the area where he creates the most chances, maybe combines with Shaw, combines with Bruno, and finds passes in that sort of half space in between the left-hand touchline. So you're basically cutting off an area where Ronaldo can be dangerous. And this is again where I'm going back to Ollie's lack of tactical nous. Because it's like Sancho didn't actually do that bad when he came on. Sancho was bought, in my mind, and I'm sure in the mind of, I'd say 90% of the Man United fans, to play right wing. He's barely played right wing. We have got so many options to play inside forward on the left-hand side. We've shunted our best passer of the ball, or the best passers in the league, out on the left-hand side. And when teams know they can come to Old Trafford, sit back, run through the middle, or press high and target the 2 double pivots when we're at a goal kick, which happens constantly. And when United have the options, they could have McTominay alongside Van de Beek. They could have probably played Matic the other day. Because really the only person with real dynamism in that Everton midfield is Doucouré, who was brilliant, by the way. Doucouré was incredible. But when you've got somebody like Matic, you've got somebody like Van de Beek who can play, and you've got somebody like Pogba who should be playing in the midfield, you're just playing a team that has got nothing through the middle, and you're just leaving yourself up for weaknesses, especially as Bruno plays not really as a 10, more as a second striker. He doesn't really orchestrate play. He's constantly looking for goal-scoring opportunities, and that's it. I'm going to stop talking for a bit because I've been talking for a while on this, but I just feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is insistent on the McFred pivot is going to be one of the reasons he gets sacked. And he's done really well to get this position. He's got a really good squad from where they were before. It's going to end badly because he's an idiot. That's it.
Go, Joe. We'll come to you. Ronaldo was obviously mentioned there, and it's just going off Darren's points. It very much seems like if you're going to get the best out of Ronaldo, you're going to have 2 players out wide that are going to feed the ball to him. has that signing kind of put a spanner in the works of the way Ole was trying to play with football? Because Cavani allowed a certain style of play.
Say it, Michael. Say it, Michael.
What's
Does all you even know?
No, not style of play, but he played. I would say he played much. Or United, the players played a much better style of football, even if there was no style. They played much better football.
Do not be
they did last year than they did this year.
Bro, do not be deceived, man. This is the
Do not
same
be
old
deceived?
thing. Do not be deceived. I'm begging you. Do not be deceived.
Okay.
This is the same old thing. Ronaldo hasn't been a problem. You've seen the United fan base have argued if Ronaldo wasn't there, you see more, I don't know, Martial up front, or maybe Greenwood would be the striker.
Cavani might press a little bit more from the front.
Exactly. He'll press more and all that. First of all, Martial didn't even press anyway.
I'm going to say Martial don't press.
Martial's never pressed in his life.
Exactly. Cavani did one run, and they've done a whole clip on the Twitter space showing Cavani in the heart and soul. That's what he's showing for Man United, and he has not done that through his whole United career. Don't be deceived by any of that. Ronaldo's not the problem. We know on the pitch there's a certain problem, and bearing in mind, Darren mentioned it earlier. I'm going to say it. I'm going to show you here right now. Look at tier 4.
He's behind Matic. I didn't even realize. Oh crap,
bro! They're behind. Matic don't even play. And
I know that's the crazy.
You're behind Ward-Prowse, whose game is not defensive whatsoever. But look at these guys, and below these guys in the top 4 side, in a class their own, are your 2 top central midfielders.
Can I just quickly interject?
Go on.
Oh my god! I was screaming, foul him at Fred when he couldn't win the first shoulder charge with Demarai Gray. Mm-hmm. If you lose the first one, sense the danger, pull his shirt, trip him up. That's how you break up play. Mm-hmm. That's how. It's not nice, but for the goat will know. Fernandinho does this all the time.
All the time.
The master.
That's the thing.
You said he got barged off and did a broken cha-cha slide, and then you got Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw should not have played. Did you see the clip? Did you see the clip of there's a little part of the game? I think it was a throw-in, and you see the bandages of that guy's knee, and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah,
and it's like Tellez played well the other day.
He did, yeah.
And Luke Shaw just come back from injury. Well, this guy, despite as well as he's played for United, still had a serious injury not that long ago. You still need to manage his body with care, which is another thing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't do.
Bro, this is something that he's done for ages. Rashford played with a broken shoulder and broken ankle pretty much, and before that was a broken back. Paul Pogba had to come back with toe injury, went to his own doctor to go and make sure that he had his own sort of physiotherapy and all that stuff to make sure that he was fit to come back and play football for United. This is a recurring theme. This is what happens over and over again. But Luke Shaw, for that goal, even though he was injured, I don't know what the hell he was doing trying to join 3 other United defenders on the right-hand side of our side anyway, and left that side unattended. But there's nothing positive to say about Man United because they should have lost the game in the first place. If Tom Davies didn't be so unselfish, we're sitting here talking about Everton 2, Man United 1. Man United escaped with a draw. Man United didn't get a draw. Yeah, Man United didn't get a draw. Man United escaped with a draw. There's a very big difference there.
What did I say last episode? I said Man United scraped. if Bruno had scored the penalty, then Man United would have scraped a draw. So you're looking at that happening twice now already in the season. And this isn't a bad run. This is a pattern of behaviour for Solskjaer.
Everything that you see with United is almost false to me. This idea of man management is based on the fact that Pogba's still at the club. It's nothing to do with anything else. It's about that Pogba has been at the club means that if Mourinho was still here, he would have gone with that. The guy hasn't signed a contract yet. He's not officially staying at the club yet. Nothing's changed in that situation. The idea that United have brought in all these players and it is Ole, and if it's not Ole, it's all of this is just, yes, we can give him a bit of credit for the stuff he's done, hopefully, in terms of like getting rid of some of the players we didn't want and all that, but nothing's changed off the pitch. And I keep saying to people, you talk about progress, right? I'm sorry, for Man United are a club built off just caring about trophies. I'm just going to be as blunt as possible. I understand we're not the team that we were from the end of 2013. beforehand, and they've had to rebuild and this, that, and the other. But I've spent a lot of money, and the reason I spent a lot of money is because they demand trophies. He's not been more successful than the previous two managers because they walked away with accolades. Hell, Jose Mourinho finished second, wanted to improve the defense, and whether people like him or not, I agree he had to go at some point. But he wanted to improve the defense because he realized it was a De Gea super show. So he wanted to improve the defense. He wasn't given the players. This guy has now got players to improve the defense. Maguire's big money. Rafael Varane is a top centre back, and you're still playing two players that are so defensive minded, yet they don't provide cover for the centre backs.
Are they defensive minded, or are they just not very good at progressing the ball and just run around a lot?
Funny enough, they could be both.
Because I look at McTominay as somebody who likes to, like, when he plays against Leeds, loves the third man run, always wants to get late in the box. He did a few times actually against Everton. But you look at his international career, he's playing third centre back. Not very good at centre back. Then you look at Fred, who for some reason is playing double pivot in Brazil when they've got Fabinho and Casemiro. But when you look at Fred, since he came from Shakhtar, not the same player, because people were saying he was the type of player that would sort of build from deep, nice range of passing. No, doesn't do that at all. Because I remember them lot down the road from me wanted Fred as well, and then they wanted Jorginho as well, they went for Rodri. So the Fred that we were advertised is not the Fred that we got.
And false advertisement.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think everything you said there, I completely agree with. Actually, I think that's a really good breakdown of some of the issues. I mean, that's image you put up there of Fred and McTominay is I'm actually still a bit shocked about that. It's absolutely
appalling,
crazy, because you feel like that's really kind of all they offer is the ability to disrupt. And I think actually the only team that United actually match up reasonably well against is actually us, because Fred and McTominay go and stand on both of our eights, and we naturally leave a load of counter-attacking space for you to run into, which is what you love. But in terms of being able to break teams down there, I just think as a successful teams are able to sustain attacks, and United aren't able to build that pressure at the moment because, like you said, other teams, even half decent counter-attacking players like Damari Gray and Townsend and Dranjuma for Villarreal, are just slicing through, and it's kind of I mean, for me it seems obvious that Van der Beek is the answer in that double pivot, and the fact he's got so few minutes is really weird, because when I watched him in that Ajax team, that run to the Champions League semi-final, he was really, really good player, box to box, build everything you spoke about, 8, 6, 10, can do all those sort of roles and do them well. And it just seems that at least playing him with somebody, whether it's Matic or McTominay, maybe Fred, if I'm not a big fan of Fred, to be honest. I think he's absolutely woeful.
Bro, listen.
There's a lot to go through with Solskjaer. It's bizarre because I think Pep and Klopp would get a hell of a lot out of United's squad. I think
Ten Hag,
serious
Zidane
stuff would be produced.
Graham Potter.
I got. Oh man, Graham Potter is when Brendan Rodgers gets sacked. Graham Potter's got next, and you'll see, because because oh god, it's so clear. I don't think there is a manager in the Premier League, barring Steve Bruce, who's worse than Ole Solskjaer. Genuinely, I don't think there's one worse other than Steve Bruce.
Well, Watford haven't got one at the moment, so
yeah.
They've got Ranieri.
We've got Ranieri.
They've just appointed, haven't they, this afternoon? Yeah. That's kind of great. I'm glad you said about the Bruno second striker thing as well. That's because I've noticed that Bruno Fernandes is not a midfielder. He's not a midfielder. If Bruno Fernandes was playing 20 years ago and he played 4-4-2, he'd be playing up front. Like, like Jermaine Defoe, Robbie Keane. Like he's a second striker, always arrives in the box, spends loads of his time getting into the box, and he's not a kind of get on the ball, help link play, help build up. He's not that kind of number 10 at all. Get the ball to him. Don't make him be the one who gets the ball to other players.
Why can we see this, but our manager can't?
I think he's got favourites. I think he's got favourites.
He definitely does, yeah.
And I think also, to be honest with you, what you don't realise, unless you're like immersed in the Man United world, there's a lot of people lobbying for McTominay. A lot of important people want McTominay to be what Fletcher was. But he's not Fletcher. He's not John McGinn. He's not Billy Gilmore. Do you know what I mean?
He's not even James Garner. Sorry.
He could have legit. I don't know why he's not playing over Fred.
Precisely.
I don't know why James Garner's doing fantastically well at Notts Forest. A team in turmoil, by the way. Meanwhile, Fred is running around, getting barged off the ball by wingers. It's just like...
Let's move on from this.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
The simple fact of the matter is you want to move on, but we haven't mentioned the greatest celebration at Old Trafford. Andros Townsend's replica too of Ronaldo. So
great, the Wiltords. You did yourself.
It was more Canu. But it is what it is. But I feel like that was more. This was more disrespectful. To be honest, there were 3 disrespectful celebrations: Wiltord, Overmars, and now Andros Townsend Sue. I mean, the audacity to do that in front of Ronaldo's face and then say, "I was just a fan. I'm just as a fan. I had to do it. I had to do it in front of your face. Come on now, Andros."
I'm not gonna lie. He came with this whole icon. I love him in the legend thing. No, you want to mock the thing. It's fine.
He mocked it, bro, and he didn't even mock it well.
He didn't. But what United fans now to recognize and need to stomach is from now on, when a team gets a positive result, a draw or win against you guys, it's going to be one of 2 things. Either the footballer is going to do the celebration against you, or the fans are going to do a big circle outside the stadium and do a whole lot of sues. So one way or another, you're taking L's. Yeah. So that's that.
That's what Villa did last week.
Precisely. Yeah. And they ended it beautifully with the oldest man of their whole congregation running in the middle and just doing one lovely sue before they all hugged him. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You get what you deserve in this life.
Yeah. I just got a quick question actually for the United guys, because I work with Tyrone, as you probably all know, the Martial fanboy.
Bro.
What would actually be your guys' strongest United 11? What would you pick? Everyone's injury free. Who are you going with? Because there's so many options now, so many things to consider. I know Solskjaer probably doesn't play the team you want to play, but I find that United fans cannot agree on what team they'd play.
Is this everyone 100% fit? Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is good to go.
De Gea, sure, Tellers doesn't really bother me. Maguire, Varane, Wan-Bissaka. I would play Van der Beek, Matic, and Pogba, and I'll play Rashford, Ronaldo, and Sancho.
So you're going to get flamed because you pick Bruno.
That's
you're going to get flamed.
And I'm the biggest Bruno fan here. Remember that. I'm the biggest Bruno fan here. Me and Darren have argued over Bruno Fernandes.
I was going to say, insight into the 3 midfield group chat. When we first signed Bruno, I was like, watch him take shots from 50 yards out every week.
I love load it up. His output is so beautiful. But I feel like Pogba is a better player than Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, and I think Pogba would actually create more as a number 10 in that position for the striker. Therefore, I'm talking about balance and what would work for the team. But of course, if Bruno Fernandes was to come off the bench and lick goals, that's just another thing added to it. So either way, I ain't mad. But that would be my midfield.
I mean, if you got a penalty,
what was your front 3 again?
Rashford, Ronaldo, Sancho.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, I'm going to take the cowards way out. So I'm still picking Bruno, although Michael's absolutely right in terms of balance for the team. If I'm talking a one-off game, everybody's fully fit, one game, I'm going 4-3-3. I'm playing much like how Michael did with the same back four, but I'm definitely picking Shaw because in my opinion, Shaw is miles better than Tellers. the Shaw that is on form is incredible. But what I'm doing, I'm taking a little page out of Pep's handbook, playing 2 high pressing, high creative 8s, which are going to be both Pogba and Bruno. I'm going to have Matic as my DM because he's the only proper DM Man United have.
Precisely.
And I'm going to have Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, and Ronaldo at the front. That being said, I've always thought the Beak should be Man United's first sub, especially when we need to control the game, and that sub's not being made enough.
It's not been made at all.
It's so obvious. It's crazy, isn't it? It's so obvious. No Martial then. Just double check.
I used to love Tony like on a different way.
I get told he's the best striker in the Premier League every day.
2 years ago, it was 9 a.m. Messages from me on the WhatsApp group constantly. Honestly, but I think with him, he's a bit like Nicolas Anelka, but like a little version of Nicolas Anelka.
Oh, okay.
At who though? At who? Because I asked him.
That's a very important question, actually. So
maybe at Manchester City.
He's Nicolas Anelka at Liverpool.
Okay.
So it's like every now and then you see it and you go, no, he's really, really good. But then there's an air of disinterest that always kind of gets in the way. I think with Tony, firstly, I don't think he's a player for this era. Secondly, I think he's a player horribly low on confidence. So if it doesn't go right for him in the first 5 to 10 minutes, he's gone mentally in the game. Whereas the season where he scored, was it 19? Everything just went the way he wanted it to go. And it finally looked like he was going to progress. Because I also think the managerial changes really harmed him. He was electric for Van Gaal. Absolutely amazing for Van Gaal. But Mourinho was Mourinho. And Luke Shaw got angry and proved him wrong when another man came in. Whereas I think Martial, he gave us a glimpse of what could have been, but I think he was terminally damaged by that. I also just think that the team doesn't really suit him. I think if he went to Germany, he would rack up the numbers, but unfortunately for me, I don't think he is what was once promised. I used to love him, so it hurts me saying this.
That's a lot of examples from explanation for him. For me, it's very simple. He would be in France somewhere else. I don't know where he would be. I don't really care. He wouldn't be in my 11 or my 18. Au revoir.
Au revoir, je m'appelle Jeffers. That's what Kojo's saying, yeah. Chelsea got a victory. What's that?
He said that
Rebellion.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a bit cruel. He's done a few things at Manchester United. That's Tony Martial, but Rebellion, fair enough. Chelsea 3, Southampton 1. Goals from Trevor Chalobah. Timo Werner's got 2. He had 1 disallowed. I think quite unfairly. James Ward-Prowse and Benjamin Chilwell. James Ward-Prowse also got sent off, which was also quite unfair. I think the referees had a mare this match day.
I don't think that was unfair, you know.
No,
it was a real bad tackle.
He took him out, bro.
Was it?
He was like 5 years late, and it was on his Achilles.
Bro, he killed down.
Maybe I got a bad angle. I didn't watch match today. I watched the highlights on Sky on YouTube, so I maybe got a bad angle. But from the angle I looked at, it didn't look that bad. But was it bad?
He slaughtered.
Yeah, it was bad.
Fair enough.
It was bad, but I felt sorry for him because it was a point. I mean, we'll probably come on to it. It was a point in the game where Southampton had really come into it and they were pressing high and aggressive. And it was one of those moments where it got played into Jorginho and they set the trap just right. And Ward-Prowse thought, I'm going to get him. I'm going to take it off and I'm going to be able to stick it in. And he did go flying in, and Jorginho just literally poked it away at the last second, and he came down right on the top of his ankle. Yeah, do you know what? It was one of those where it could have gone either way, and I think it was just incredibly unlucky because Southampton we'll come on to it probably, but Southampton were really. I was watching this game. It was Saturday. really wet. Missus was out. I was like, right, I'm going to watch the 3 o'clock game on the stream. Lukaku, fantasy football captain, that didn't go to plan either. And yeah, Southampton were really, really good. Again, they were good at the Etihad. They were good in this.
I think with Southampton, it is always a case of just not quite having the same energy for the whole 90. But to be fair, with the team with as much depth as Chelsea, going man down it's terminal, especially late in the game because of the amount of intensity that the Arsenal teams play with. They're off their feet by the 80th minute anyway. But I will say this: like, I don't know what they're feeding their academy products at Cobham, because Livramento, Chelsea player, product, incredible. Trevor Chalobah, what? It's incredible. Kind of Hobson-Odoi was there, reminding people who he is. It's just like,
Loftus Cheek.
yeah, just a conveyor belt of real Premier League quality. Lamptey, all sorts. It's ridiculous.
We'll get into the game. Actually, let's not get into the game. I mean, Timo Werner stuck away one of like 50 chances that was gifted to him. That was good for him. Especially for his confidence as well. Once again, probably like Tony Martial, just he desperately needs confidence. I think the stat is he scored 60. Or yeah, he scored 16 offside goals. Or he's just had 16 goals disallowed for being offside since he's joined Chelsea. That's got to be the highest of any striker in the Premier League, to be honest with you. So getting this goal did mean a lot to him, and you saw it in the celebration. But let's get on to Lukaku, because it doesn't seem to be. I mean, he's played the first few games, played quite well, but then the big test came. The big test came against Liverpool. He kind of got shepherded out of the game by Matip and Van Dijk. He took 2 of them. The game against Manchester City, he kind of went missing. And for this game as well against Southampton, even though they're not a big side, I don't think he had a shot, not shot on target. I don't remember him having a major chance.
I'll be quiet on this, but I feel like Man United fans are just going.
You literally did what I was about to do. Thank you. That's it. You know what it is, yeah? I personally, I do love the guy, and I do think he's a killer. But the thing is, he has this tendency to go missing. That is just what it is. In the biggest games, he has not shown up, and I'm not talking about maybe playing for like West Brom when he scored a hat-trick against Man United. I'm talking about once you've gone to that higher level club and the expectation is higher, are you a contributor in the biggest games? I'm not talking about scoring against, was it Inter Milan or Juventus? No, it was AC Milan Juventus, one of the 2 games where they won 5-2 at Inter Milan. And he scored the 5th goal.
I think it was AC.
I think it might be AC as well. He scored the 5th goal when the game's effectively over. I'm talking about being the game changer, being that man that grabs the goal, that changes the momentum, or brings the team back into the game. He's not done that, and that's not an agenda thing. That's just what the history shows of him. That doesn't take away from his quality. We know he's a very good striker. We know he knows how to find the back of the net. It's just in the biggest moments where you could be put into that upper echelon of maybe world-class, top-class footballers or strikers, I should say. He just doesn't about get there just because in those games, and I don't know if it's the pressure hits him. I don't know if it's just where he's ushered out or the level of player he's playing against in terms of defenders just know how to deal with him better. But one way or another, it's just not worked out. It didn't work out at Man United. It didn't work out so much so into Man United. He won the league title. And I
don't think he did really well at Inter, to be fair.
No, I'm not saying that he didn't do well at Inter Milan in the whole aspect. I'm just saying in the big games, he didn't really give the big performances. And at Chelsea, look, it's still October. So maybe, you never know. He could go from out of nowhere and just score in the next couple of big games they have. But right now, it's looking at the same old story. I do hope it gets better because he came back with unfinished business. He wants to prove that in the Premier League he can do it in the biggest games. And I think for his career, it would be great to show that he can do it here also. But it needs to happen. For his legacy, yeah. But it needs to happen because his goal scoring record is ridiculous over here. It just needs that big game moment. That's all it needs.
To be clear, I want nothing more. As it is as a Man United fan, but I'm relatively detached. I want nothing more than
detached. Are you? I'd say there's a 4 bullet points in this episode. You weren't detached.
I said relatively detached.
Yeah, there's no relative. There's no detached either, bro. You're fully attached. You're harnessed on, man. You're jumping out the same plane.
There's nothing more I want than for Lukaku to show certain people from the same fan base as me and Michael that they were dead wrong because he got dogs abuse at Man United.
Yeah.
And he didn't deserve that. So I really want Lukaku to succeed. The reason why I did that is because that's what people are going to say. And Lukaku, I felt, has always played better when he's pissed off. And so I reckon you'll see. I reckon the game I fear as a United fan is Old Trafford, Chelsea versus United, because I feel like he's going to be like, I've got a point to prove, and then we're going to see the Lukaku that was in Milan, that was terrorizing people from Naples to Bergamo. I don't know Italy that well, but that's like opposite ends of Italy.
Good effort. I know nothing, but
Bergamo's in the north. Bergamo's in the north.
Yeah.
Naples in the south, so we're good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he's got it. I think also you've got to take into account new team, newer system, and also baggage, isn't it? Emotional baggage. He's back in England after all the crap that he went through being here last time. So
yeah,
I give him time. He's still going to collect 20. Or outscore Harry Kane this season. It'll be fine.
Do you know, I like this actually because I quite like that I've got two United fans here who actually want Lukaku to do well, because a lot of the United fans that I know don't want him to do well because they don't want to be proven. I mean, it's less so now they've got Ronaldo because you've got 9 at least for a year or two. But I feel like before Ronaldo, with Lukaku doing so well at Inter, United fans are still trying to like play him down. Like he's not that good. I promise you, because you don't want to feel like, wow, we let this number 9 go and now he's top 5 number 9 in the world. And I think this season he will get those goals in big games. I think I feel like he's such a different player, the one that left United to the one that's come back. For loads of reasons, I think there was that problem with his weight, wasn't there? That digestion issue, which they found and sorted out at Inter. He just looks leaner and meaner, and maybe it will take a bit of time because it's no surprise that in the 2 games that Chelsea and he struggled against Juve and City, they had 1 shot on target, I think, in those 2 games. So he was very much feeding off scraps a little bit, which is surprising for this Chelsea, and that's why it surprised me a little bit about this Chelsea team. Even though it's early days, they haven't fully evolved yet because Tuchel was so progressive at Dortmund and PSG, and he came in, steadied the ship at Chelsea, made them rock solid, and now it's like, right, are you going to go again? But he's still very much got the handbrake on, and I think Lukaku actually looked so much better on Saturday when Timo Werner was played up alongside him and Mason Mount came in and dropped in behind him. And then I think the Chelsea's 3rd goal, I think it was, came when Lukaku got across the front post and hit the post, and then it ricocheted to Azpilicueta, who then hit the bar, and then Chilwell put it in. So he very nearly, he was literally inches away from scoring, really. But you're right, it's the big games now. He's got to show it. I think he will. I think the next one for them might actually be United at Stamford Bridge. So, yeah, we will wait and see.
Do you want to?
Were you laughing at that United news in the comments?
Yeah, Darren, you want to see it? Darren, you don't have to say anything. I just want to see your facial expression. Mike Phelan has signed a contract extension at Man United. Breaking news.
Oh God.
Oh dear.
So for me personally, that kind of means that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't really going anywhere.
No, he's not. No. There's
We knew that. But can we talk about Wolves Newcastle? Because Juan did me some nice points at Fantasy Premier League. So
good shout.
I am ready to move on from that.
Well done. That's a good shout. Well done.
Good shout. I'm fully comfortable remaining at this Manchester United news. I mean, what's going on, man? No,
I have the power to end this broadcast. So don't make me do it.
Also, look at the time, mate. So I think we should rattle on some other games.
You should rattle it on. All right, fair enough. Yeah. You did take up a bit of time with your 4 bullet points of your not in, not out of Manchester United feelings. Yeah, that's Huh? Am I done? Yeah. I'm done. We'll go into Arsenal because it is only top 6, unfortunately. We'll talk about Wolves another day. Arsenal, no, Brighton, Hove Albion nil, Arsenal nil. Now, the narrative or the multiple narratives surrounding this game is that are two reasons why Arsenal didn't win this game. Both are bullshit. One, the rain.
Yeah.
2, we're missing Granit Xhaka. Now, for me, as an Arsenal fan, one I think has quite a bit of sense. Most Arsenal fans seem to have very short memories. Because if I remember correctly, the first 3 games, which we lost, by the way, who was playing?
Granit Xhaka.
And yet, magically, he comes back against a Tottenham side that we could all say aren't really in the best of form right now. They don't really play the most progressive football. They're kind of ins and outs. Nobody knows where Harry Kane quite is. And Son, or Harry Kane's pretty much around everywhere but the box. And Son was coming back from injury, I believe. So they were the 2 main threats, and they weren't fully at 100%. That's why Granit Xhaka shone. For me, maybe people are seeing a different Granit Xhaka because I don't know. Maybe he is this great player that hasn't performed for Arsenal for the past 5 years since he's been there. Maybe he is.
They saw that performance against France in the Euros, and it was very much like what could have been, but never was.
Yeah. There's another big issue though. There's another really big issue.
Go on.
Your backup is El Nene.
Hey,
That's a big issue.
Lokonga.
I like Lokonga. I think he's considering his age. I think he looks quite a well-rounded midfielder. But I think Xhaka and Partey is probably still your best midfield.
Is it though? I don't know. They played a few games because Partey was injured last season. They played a few games together last season, and it didn't work out. And it seems like this it worked against Tottenham, but then, like I said before, Tottenham aren't exactly playing the best football, and they allowed Arsenal to play a certain style. They allowed us to look good because 1 game later, and it's literally one. We didn't have a midweek game. It was straight to this one. We looked horrible again.
Yeah, midweek games all year, I'm afraid.
Exactly. We looked bereft of ideas. Just Saka looked tired, which Emil Smith-Rowe looked like he didn't have a clue. Pepe's given 30 minutes. I don't know from him. Aubameyang was missing as well. There was a lot of players that were missing. They're kind of linking it to the fact that Partey and Lokonga are 2 very similar players, or they play a very similar game.
Yeah.
I personally think that can work. Two players that play a very similar style of football in the midfield can work in Lokonga and Partey. I just think it needs a lot of time. We also need to remember that Lokonga is still very young. He wasn't bought to start in this Arsenal team. So the fact that he is getting games, and the fact it came against a Brighton that are in form and are playing better football than Arsenal, and are playing better
one
football.
of the best coached teams in the league.
Exactly, and then a lot of teams in England, to be honest with you. It just wasn't our day. And I think that it comes down to the way we were set up. We were set up very negatively. Our press, which was existent, the only time it was existent was against Spurs, was gone once again this time round, and we just allowed them to get the better of us. But I'll open the floor because I might have 4 bullet points as well, and I don't want to get into it right now. Kojo, what went wrong for Arsenal? Was it these players that are paid handsomely, they perform well in training, and once it gets to the football pitch or and match day, they just disappear? Or is it down to the fact that the coach is so negative that it just ain't gonna work anymore?
It's the same old with Arsenal. I think you and Jordan said it last week about the fact that Tottenham wasn't really the bigger test out of the 2 because you wanted to see if they'll bring the same energy. Not 60,000 fans screaming, not the North London thing where Spurs don't beat you at the Emirates, funny enough anyway, unless it's like a Carabao Cup game or Yunus Kabul doing a throwback. So, unless it's going that far back, they don't get results there. So Arsenal winning that game wasn't a complete shocker. Arsenal bringing the energy wasn't a complete shocker. Arsenal have always brought the energy against Spurs, particularly at the Emirates. But when you go to Brighton, a team that in recent history, I wouldn't say you built a rivalry with, but you've more had a bit of a tasty affair with because of Morpay and Guendouzi and there's some other fixtures beforehand. You come to this game and the idea is you've got a very positive result against one of your major rivals in terms of geography. So now, what's next? Are you going to try and maintain some or try and build some level of form, I should say, because one game isn't form. Are you trying to build form? Are you going to try and get a good result against a side that is very coached well, has good manager, and is actually looking a lot better than they did last season in terms of like they create a lot more chances, even though they were creating chances last season, they're doing it on a higher scale now. And you just did what Arsenal do, is back to square one. It's the same thing as last. I think was it last season? What's it called? The COVID year when you went on a losing streak and you went to Old Trafford and buoyed off Man United and then returned back to form again. It's the same recurring theme. So for me, I think sometimes we talk about other clubs and we say like there's sort of like a mentality thing. I think that's become the case at Arsenal. I think whether it's Emery, whether it's Arteta, even Arsene Wenger as well, in the later years, Arsenal would find a great performance against a bigger side. I remember you guys beating Man City, Arteta's goal. I remember you guys beating Chelsea 3-0 when you blitzed them, banging Man United 3-0 when you blitzed them also under Louis van Gaal, but then returning back to norm. That's what Arsenal have been doing for a long time. So if it must be a mental thing, there must be some sort of block there, and you can go into the deeper conversations. But in terms of the club and the players in that team, I feel like the players that are always brought in also don't have sort of the mentality to take the team up a level. So I think this summer you've done okay. Lokonga's a good signing. The signings make sense. Tomiyasu, fair play to Darren as well because he was telling us from time. You know, he's come in, he's done well, even though he had kind of a shocker as well against Brighton.
He did.
I had him on the ropes.
Exactly. But it's one game, so I'm not going to get onto his neck just yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you don't want for him, though. You don't want him to now fall into a rut and have that sort of what you used to call Wenger-fied. Now Wenger's not there, so it's Arsenal syndrome.
Arteta-fied, please. That's not Arsenal syndrome.
Arteta-fied. There you go. There. So you look. I think what has happened now is. Honestly, actually, I know. I was going to say what happens. I don't know what happens now. I don't know what happens now because this keeps happening. So this is why you guys don't progress, or I don't think you're going to even regress anymore. I think you're going to be stuck in that same position for a while. I don't know what will help you guys elevate, and it could be getting rid of Arteta, but will you hire the right coach? That's another question. So I don't know.
Sam, I give this to you. Like just we'll get negotiations started at this. So I say 10 million. We'll let you take back Mikel Arteta and your set piece coach, and you give us Raheem Sterling. That to me seems like a fair deal. No,
I don't think so. English tax. Yeah, I think with Arsenal, I think a lot of people were hammering their transfer window early doors, especially when they'd signed only Ben White, I think it wasn't, and getting Ramsdale through the door. But actually, I think for the first time in a long time, I can actually kind of see what Arsenal do. I think Arsenal know where they are in the whole picture, the whole Premier League picture. And I think what they've done, instead of trying to fix it with names, I think they've kind of got some young players in who they hope with the right coaching and progression will just they'll all kind of grow together, if that makes sense. Because a team in Arsenal's position, there's only two things they can do really. They can either go out and spend about 500 million, which is probably the difference in squads between Chelsea, United, Liverpool, City and Arsenal, but about 500 million worth of signings, at least, maybe. So they can go and do that. But the Arsenal owner's not going to do that. So what they've done, and it's probably the smarter approach long term, which is more sustainable, is to go out and buy young players who they hope will actually grow with the team. And I think there actually is a little bit of a spine forming there. And I think actually the first three games, Arsenal were pretty unlucky to have their spine pretty much ripped out for those first three games. I went to the game at the Etihad and Arsenal had no leaders on the pitch whatsoever. But actually since then, you look at Ben White and Gabriel, 22, 23, both very young. You look at Lokonga, who they brought in the middle to play with Partey. You look at Smith Rowe. You look at Saka. and obviously Ramsdale as well. I think Tomiyasu is a good signing. He looks really solid. Someone who's going to be a very dependable right back, a bit like a Kufal for West Ham, or like Zabaleta was for us. Very much defence first, but very good at doing what he does. So I think if Arsenal can continue to make those sort of young, decent signings, then I think they can grow. The only question is whether Arteta can grow with them, and Arteta can go two ways. Is he an Ollie where he hasn't got that experience and you just see he hasn't got that tactical acumen, or will he grow into something a lot better, which is kind of what they're speculating on. So I think it will take time, but I think with if they keep getting 2 or 3 good young players over the next sort of couple, 2, 3, 4 transfer windows, I think steadily they'll be able to build a good squad. But then what you've also got to do is hold on to the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe and keep them tied down and believing in the project, because like I would take Saka at City. I mean, we'd probably play him at left back, to be honest, but I'd definitely take him at City if someone like a stay left, because I think Saka is phenomenal, really unbelievably well-rounded young player.
Is that a sustainable model though, to just hedge your bets on youth? When does experience have to take the reins? Because if we do get rid of Aubameyang, Xhaka, Partey would be older. I don't think we're going to get rid of Partey anytime soon. But you need some experience to guide these players through the tough times. And don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of tough times, and nobody's guiding us through those right now. But these players have experienced it. They've been through it. To just get you over that edge and then hopefully onto better, greener pastures. Or do you just hope that the youth can keep firing you ahead and try and get you back to where I want Arsenal to be?
It probably will be a combination of both. Just quick, I think first of all, if you're going to get experienced players in, they've got to be the right pros. I think that's actually another issue for Arsenal. I think they've shifted out a bit of deadwood, but people like Kolasinac, if he's still there, I'm not even sure if he's still there, but Xhaka, Aubameyang, they're experienced players, but they're not good. They're not good pros. They're not helping the younger players. So I think if you are going to buy another player in their prime like a Partey, you've got to be really, really careful in terms of not just ability but also character as well.
You gonna say something, Dan?
Just really quickly, I think 2 things. What is experience really, and what value is it adding to the team? So, for example, you got Suarez there. So, do you know what I mean? Like, you had William there.
I thought you meant Luis Suarez, but you meant Cedric. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh yeah! Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But then when I look at Arsenal, when I see Kieran Tierney, that's the leader. He's still quite young. He's still very young, actually. So this idea that you need to have somebody over a certain age bracket who's a leader, who can drive the team forward, is a misnomer.
Maybe it's not to do particularly with the age level. Maybe it's just to do with, experience could be players that you said Tierney, for example. Tierney's been bossing it with Celtic since he was 18 years old.
Yeah.
So I know he's won a lot. People will say yes, it's Scottish, but the fact is he's been a winner so far in his career.
He's got the strongest mentality out of everybody at Arsenal.
Exactly.
For me, he's Arsenal captain. For me, he's Arsenal captain already. Yeah.
So I agree with it. Sometimes it's not down to age. Sometimes it's just about it is mentality. It's not just about it is mentality. Simple as that. This is where Arsenal, I feel, have lacked. You have to try and find the right profile. Partey is a talented footballer, and he played for a very good athletic side, and he did very well at Atletico Madrid as well. We're not taking anything away from that for him. But was he a leader in that squad, or did he show leadership qualities in that squad? Questionable. You know what I'm saying? So, Granit Xhaka, was he a leader at Gladbach? Was it Gladbach he used to play for? Yeah. Gladbach he used to play for. Was he a leader there? Because the idea was he came in a tough tackler. No, he wasn't a tough tackler. He was a reckless tackler. He was tough. It's 2 different things. So, is he a leader? Does he take the team forward? The answer is no. So, Arsenal need to look properly. Tierney was the right profile of player. Tierney's a good signing. But are you going to add more to that? Because it's not about having one sort of player with the right mentality. Needs maybe 5. No, you need everyone with the right mentality. But if you have 5, 6 that can sort of push everyone around them up a bit more and give them that sort of boost mentally, take them up to their level, then it helps the team. So, I always say it's like a 3-year job for a manager, but truth being told, with Arsenal, it could be a much longer job than that in terms of fixing the squad.
I know the team you played will probably have their own time to shine on the podcast and later iterations of the podcast. But let's not lose the fact that Brighton are one of the most informed teams in the league, one of the best coached teams in the league. Fantastic going back to front. And to be honest, they are kind of where Arsenal are at the moment in terms of I genuinely believe that Brighton are going to finish like upper mid-table. Because for me, I said this in the chats before, it was a case of getting goals that was stopping them from doing it. They've always been slow at the back with a combination of Dunk, Webster, and Byrne or Vietman with the wing back if Lamptey's fit. So for me, this was two very even match teams. However, Brighton should have won. When Dan Byrne was missing headers, this is food and drink for him. But to be honest, I think it's 4 points from this game. If you offered Arteta 4 points from these two games, he would have took it. And I think most managers in Arsenal's position would have done the exact same thing. So I think with Arsenal, anything can tend to be this sort of like overarching. There's a deeper problem. It's systemic, like we're talking about the police or something. It's not. It's sometimes Arsenal aren't gonna beat teams that they once were swatting away like a fly. But that's because Henry don't play for you, man, anymore. Nor does Vieira. It's the same with Man United.
Yeah.
We'll go quickly to Tottenham. They did beat Aston Villa 2-1 goals from Pierre-Emerick, Højbjerg, Watkins, and a Matt Target on goal as well secured Spurs the victory. I mean, it was panic stations last week for Tottenham, but they managed to get a point or all 3 points against the side of Aston Villa side that everybody was tipping to challenge the top 6. Go, John.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a bounce back result. That's what they needed. But Spurs, again, I wouldn't really look too much into this result just yet. Because, again, they're another team that hasn't found a good run of form for a while. But it's a good result. Look, I think, firstly, Højbjerg's goal was classy. Lovely place finish into the corner. And you can always trust Son. I call him inconsistent, but there is always going to have those games where he is absolutely electric. And he found that in the second half to help get the goal for the own goal that was given by Target. But what it was with Villa just looked a bit disjointed going forward. I feel like they're trying to build a sort of a Ollie Watkins, Danny Ings link up front, and it's just not hit yet. But it will hit. I think those two are intelligent enough to hit it together and get it right. So eventually that will hit. But it looked a bit disjointed in this game. Villa shouldn't take too much worry from this game because they had a fantastic result the previous week anyway. They got their 3 points at Old Trafford. And these results will happen. So I wouldn't look too much into it for both sides yet. Villa will have a solid season, which means not really a relegation battle, maybe pushing for about 7th-ish, but maybe not getting there. And if they get there, that's great. And Spurs just need to try and find a level of consistency because Harry Kane is finding goals in the Conference League, but he's not finding goals in the Premier League. Son is Son. And I don't understand why, though, he didn't play Romero in the previous game and he started him against Aston Villa. I still don't understand what that's about.
I think Romero, wasn't he one of the people that basically tried to go to Argentina and play, basically play behind the health officials' back in the last international break?
Oh, yeah.
He probably got disciplined for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, you take into account that Brian Hill's not playing either. He hasn't started. I think a lot of managers don't throw their sides in straight away. Like Klopp does that. You often wait 2-3 months before you really start seeing a side and progress. But I suppose with Spurs, because their setbacks are so bad, you kind of like, well, why isn't he playing now? But
I'll throw this question out to all 3 of you. Harry Kane, is he going to get 20 goals this season?
Yeah.
Harry Kane will get 20 goals this season, but it'll be the most unconvincing 20 goals of his career since he started really being the first number 9 at Spurs. I think that he's not happy. I don't think he's thrown it in on purpose. I think he's not happy, and I think he's realizing really quickly that his time's running out.
Yeah.
And it's like panic stations. It's like with his ankles, he's not doing a Lewandowski, so he needs that move quickly. And Levy has got him on the ropes. So yeah.
Sam?
He might get 20 goals in the Conference League, maybe, the way he's going. whether he gets 20 Premier League goals, it's going to be touch and go actually for the first time in a long time, because Harry Kane consistently delivers, especially after like these first couple of months. August, September kind of gets him out of the way, and then after that he starts firing. But Spurs' all round numbers, just all the attacking metrics under Nuno, they're so low. They're like 18th, 19th. So it's something that he's going to. I mean, if he thought he was kind of having to create goals from himself under Mourinho, it's almost even worse under Nuno. Like, he's not even getting in anywhere near the box to try and create or score. He's just, yeah, I think you're right. I think he's really looking at his time at Spurs now, thinking, you know, kind of where am I going with this in my career? He desperately needed that big move this summer, but like you said, he shouldn't have signed a 6-year contract. And I actually think, and maybe it's just because I'm a City fan and he was coming to us, but regardless of where he was going, I think Spurs should have sold Harry Kane. I think they should have cashed in. I think people talk about Daniel Levy being this amazing businessman. I think he should have realised that he had his asset primed and ready to go at his peak. This is the highest value I'm going to get for this player. Now he's going to be 29 next summer, 2 years left in his contract, only going to go down from there. He should have cashed in, and he should have rebuilt the same way that Liverpool did when they sold Suarez and Coutinho and then brought in Fabinho, Salah, Mane, Firmino, Van Dijk and won the league. They should have done that, or they should have basically just kind of started from scratch. Because people, I think sometimes individuals in football, this depend on who they are, Messi, Ronaldo aside, slightly overvalued. It's always 11 players on the pitch, always team game, always will be. If you sell one of your best players, but you then bring in 3 very good players, you're going to be a better team. And I think Tottenham would have been that if they would have sold Harry Kane and then recruited right as well, because their recruitment under Levy has been shocking, which is why they brought in Paratici as well.
Yeah, he's done all right so far. So far, he's done all right every side.
I don't trust Paratici purely because what Daniel Levy said when Mourinho got sacked and Paratici's career didn't match. So they're saying how they want to revert back to the Spurs style of play. Paratici is a defensive-minded person in football. According to The Athletic, one of the reasons why the Paulo Fonseca management deal fell through is because Paulo Fonseca wanted to play more expensively than Paratici would want to sign players on that sort of way. So I think it's a club at a fork of the road. And instead of going left or right, it's going straight. So,
fair enough. I think we shall wrap it up there. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for joining. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. There you go. Boom. Thank you. Sam, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you got the Twitter handles on the bottom. Obviously got my personal one there, and also I co-host the Never Foul Feed the Goat podcast, which we're doing in about half an hour with me and Daps. So yeah, jump on there in about half an hour, 9 o'clock, looking back at this last crazy week for City and those 3 massive away games we've all just ticked off.
Excellent. And Kojo, where can they find us?
Right here on YouTube, Free Me for Podcast, Twitter, Spotify, SoundCloud, Podcast, Instagram, and TikTok. Free in midfield. Come and like, comment, and subscribe to everything over there.
Thank you guys for joining, and good night.
Jeez.